What is Stadia? It's a whole new way to play your favorite game.
All right, folks, and we're live. How we all doing tonight? It's real Bulba hours. Any Bulbas up here? Let's see. Got a few people in the chat. All right. So, we're gonna well, first before we get into the main thing. See, I'm really just killing time. I can't go to bed till my laundry's done. So, and obviously I got to put it away. But no, I'm waiting on that. So I figure why not come out here, entertain you fine folks, give you some of that quality content. Perhaps some shekels will be thrown my way. That would be much appreciated. And first things first. Speaking of shekels being thrown my way, somebody got me the Mega Man X Legacy Collection 1 and 2 for the Switch. Much appreciated. Also, listener Randall this week, he got me, and off the top of my head, I forget who got me the Mega Man X Collection. I think they put their name, but I never put their full name if it's in the thing. I just put like their first name. It's on like the Bechtloff Facebook page. I think the Bechtloff Twitter. It's posted on there. I can't remember. But also, listener Randall, he got me a pop filter for the mic, which I'm not using right now because I'm a lazy fuck and I didn't put it on. But hopefully the mic sounds okay. I don't think I have any problems this week. Hopefully everything sounds okay. But I'll have it on by Saturday. I'll have it on for the Saturday show. I just didn't get around to putting it on. Because again, I'm a lazy fuck. And somebody in the chat says Bulbas rise up. Yes, indeed, Bulbas rise up. Cynic in Chief sends $2. Says, you see the Funimation leaks? Riketta ruined them. I did not. I did not see that. I can't say I pay a great deal of attention to those particular nerd circles. I know a little bit about the Vic lawsuit. Vic Magolia, I believe is his name. But yeah, I don't know a ton about it. Sorry, couldn't tell you. Been working a lot this week, so I took a sick day Wednesday, but I wasn't playing. I was actually not feeling well. Fourth Smash DLC character leaked is Tom Bombadil. Well, I'd rather have him than that gay tuxedo mask looking motherfucker from Persona. Pardon me. Anyways, back to Mega Man X. My opinion on Mega Man X1 is that it is one of the best. It's one of the best games on the Super Nintendo, and it's one of the best games ever. I'm a big fan of the classic Mega Man series, and Mega Man X it's sort of the Spider-Man 2099 to Mega Man Spider-Man. It takes place 100 years later, but with direct ties to the classic stuff. Mega Man X is fantastic. People have... Ego Raptor did a really great video years and years ago on how the intro level in Mega Man X is like one of the most perfect tutorial levels ever done in gaming. It's fantastic. That said, though, I'm not actually that big of a Mega Man X fan. I love Mega Man. It's my favorite game series that I'm not good at. And Mega Man X, as I'm starting to dig into a lot of the sequels, which I haven't... I don't think I've completed any of the sequels. Except I've completed Mega Man X1. That's it. I've dabbled in the sequels a bit. It's dawning on me. I don't really like the art. I should say I guess the art style, the visual style in Mega Man X that much compared to the classic series. Like X looks fine, but even once he gets like all armored up in these games, then he's starting to get like a lot more animu than I like. Like Zero, everyone's like, oh, Zero's the cool character. Zero looks retarded. Like his character design looks like shit to me. It looks like a Gundam had an abortion. That's what Zero looks like to me. I don't know. The classic series is a lot more Astro Boy. You know, it's a lot more old style manga, old style anime. X is a little bit more modern anime, and I don't care for that. Not that they're bad games, although I've heard nothing but bad things about X7. Um, you know, in fact, like I said, Mega Man X1, fantastic game, one of the best games ever. You know, part of me almost wishes it was a one and done thing, like it was just a one and done spin off of Mega Man, but whatever. I hate some of the other Mega Man spin-offs. Legends I've never had a chance to play. And the actual physical copies of them are stupid expensive now. If they ever do a legacy collection, which this is just the two. But I'll check that out. And I've heard good things about it, and it looks alright. But like Mega Man Battle Network, which I've never played, but it looks like absolute shit to me. And I don't even know some of the other ones. What's the one where he looks like fucking... He's got like a lion or something for his gun? I don't even know what that one is. I remember when I got back into gaming in '05, having spent almost 10 years kind of drifted away from it. You know, and I got a PS2, and I got the Mega Man collection on the PS2. And there were all the 15th anniversary of Mega Man shit everywhere, from a few years prior when that had happened. And they used the Battle Network Mega Man for that. And I didn't even know there were different, other than X, I guess. I didn't even know there were different Mega Man. I'm looking at it like, what the fuck did they do to Mega Man? Like, it's like the Godfather thing. They massacred my boy. Sorry, folks. Sorry. Anyways, yeah, I do want to check out Legends. The other series don't hold any appeal for me just at a glance. But I'll be digging into the X series a bit more here. Anyways, let's get to our main event, shall we? We are gonna sit here and we are gonna get fucking big brained red pilled, guys. Are y'all ready for that? We're gonna listen to Mr. Big Brain himself, Davis Arini. I feel like that would be fun. I feel like we're gonna learn a lot here tonight, folks. All right, are y'all ready? I know I'm ready. All right, so let's see. It's not Arini again. Oh, you better believe it. You better believe it. Okay, that was my playlist. All right, so this is The Sickness of Babylon. So let's learn from the master here.
As usual with these live streams, it takes people a couple of minutes to get here. And so I'm going to spend the first 3 minutes pontificating. So as you can see, I've got the monkey suit on, fresh from work.
He looks like a host at a steakhouse right now. Like you go to Outback, you know, or Longhorn or whatever your favorite steakhouse is. He looks like the gay guy that seats you.
I was thinking about recording one of my traditional
yes,
easy
two
chair
please.
videos.
I'd like a booth if you have one.
But number one, I'm tired. And number two, I'm not sure how thoroughly I can structure this video. This speculative lecture that I want to cover. And another thing.
Somebody in the chat,
movie,
when are Arini
The
and
Last
Diddy going to
Unicorn,
collab?
When a unicorn gets captured by the witch, who has a sideshow of monsters and horrors, the witch has to put a phantasm of a horn on the unicorn. Because if she didn't put that fake horn, everybody else would mistake the unicorn for just a horse. And like it or not, that's the world that we live in. That many people are veiled.
By the way, folks, I love that my phone, like YouTube felt the need to send me a notification on my phone that I'm live, just in case I wasn't sure. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you. I appreciate that.
They don't want to see the truth. They dismiss
Unicorns rise up
as, good lord, exactly what they dismiss it as cosplay when they're cosplayers.
Oh! Okay, so the deep lore here. A while back, Arini's been shitting on cosplayers for years, like the guys at Comic-Con kind of cosplayers. And I've never liked that because, look, I got a great deal of respect for the cosplayers. Number one, now I know sometimes the people that wear the outfits aren't the same ones that made them, whatever. But if you're in good enough shape that you can pull off some superhero outfit or something like that, good on you. That's fantastic. You should be proud. Number two, I could barely sew a button back onto my jeans or onto a shirt or something. And these people make these costumes. That's amazing. That is an amazing form of artistry. And they go to these conventions, and they make these conventions just a cooler place just by walking around. I love cosplayers. They're fucking fantastic. Obviously, there's some that aren't so good at it, but that's a nod on them, not the art form itself. Arini always shit on cosplayers, and finally, I think during our initial feud, I said, like, you're a cosplayer, dude. In the worst sense, you try on outfits of this or that cause or group or whatever, and you have your whole damn life. That fucking got to him, and just I haven't brought that up in forever, and here he is again, like dismissing his cosplay when they like cosplay. No, you're a cult.
They're happy keeping their heads down, ignoring what's going on, and there's not really much you can do about that. Maybe not much you should do about that. Maybe unicorns are just there for the people that want to see them.
Unicorns rise up.
And so this topic that I'm going to be discussing tonight, this is something I've been researching on and off for a couple of years now. Really trying to dig into it, get the sense of it, pull the pieces all together. I don't have anything definite. But I wanted to toss it out there on the off chance that anybody out there is listening. Exactly. Forget about them, focus on yourself and on your bros. So, you know what? I think you guys will find this interesting. I don't think we're going to revolutionize the world with any of it, but I think you guys will find it interesting. And I want to give hats off to Asha Logos. Asha Logos has an excellent series of videos on the our Indo-European ancestors and our true history, the heroism, the decency present. And these videos of his have buttressed this theory that I'm working on.
Indo-Europeans, right?
They're the other side of the coin. So I've been
Sorry, he's just so boring. I was responding to a text.
The paths of demons, and he illustrates the places where the demons weren't.
This is the worst Hellraiser
said,
sequel
we're 5
yet.
minutes in, perfect time to launch into the video proper.
All right.
Gee, 7 viewers this late an hour. Thanks, guys. Sorry for the late hour. Like I said, I was working. I'm not working tomorrow, so I'm only going to be working 5 hours.
7 viewers, and they were mostly my audience. Like, no lie, somebody put a bot in my Discord, and it wasn't me because I'm retarded. I don't know how to do such things. But somebody put a bot in my Discord in the one channel that lets people know when he's going live, so they can hop in and laugh at him in the fucking chat or something.
Present to you in this video, in this live stream, is that somewhere around the Bronze Age collapse, about, what was it, 1150 BC? Somewhere around there, during the late Babylonian Empire. Oh, and hey, happy birthday, Germanic Turtle. Somewhere around 1150 BC, Bronze Age collapse, during the dying days of the Babylonian civilization, which wasn't immediately impacted the way the ones on the Mediterranean, the civilizations on the Mediterranean were.
Is this when Gozer
Something
first came?
went seriously wrong in Babylon. And ever since then, that was the root of it, I think. At least, again, it could go back further. But something in ancient Babylon, they started worshipping a bull deity, which they called Baal, which was just another name for Lord.
I'm pretty sure he has
the
this
name
all
doesn't
mixed
really
up.
matter.
Like, he might
But
as
they
well
started
be talking
worshipping a
about
bull
Gozer.
deity that an herbivore deity that wanted the sacrifice of children. I'm going to be trying to tie 4 things together and bring them back to the collapse of Babylon. The bull deity, child sacrifice, usury, actually make that 5, empire, and vegetarianism.
I can't wait to find out how these things all point to how he should be in charge. Also, remember, a few years ago, he praised empire. He used to say the British Empire, because of the monarchy and all this stuff. They were great. Look, everybody changes their opinion over time. Your views grow, whatever. But it's like there's no continuity with him. There's no well, I used to think this, but I've sort of grown. No, it's just whatever fucking blog post he's read recently, whatever fucking video he's watched recently that he thinks this is something I can use to show how I should be in charge.
Have you guys seen all of these advertisements for the Beyond Meat hamburgers that are out right now?
Yeah, it looks gross.
There's this place here in Canada called Tim Hortons, which it sells
that where
coffee
you
and
work?
donuts. Then they started selling sandwiches, chili. They are selling hamburgers now, but only the Beyond Meat hamburgers.
Well, that's gross.
I've been seeing this pop up in my feeds on Twitter. They keep advertising Beyond Meat hamburgers to me. I'm seeing this absolutely everywhere. There's a massive push for these things. And, the real irony of the Beyond Meat hamburger is even the vegans are opposed to it. The vegans will tell you that the Beyond Meat hamburger, it's I'm not a big fan of the vegan diet, okay? But
I'm pretty
some
sure
of them,
vegans are the one pushing
some
all
of them
this
actually
fake
study
meat.
diets, food, whatever. And they will be the first one to point out that that's not vegan. The Beyond Meat hamburger is the most heavily processed, toxic, and poisonous thing you could say. Yeah, exactly. Virtuous troll. Still very processed, like beyond processed. So
Well, obviously it's processed.
You
don't
can,
just turn fucking vegetables into a meat-like substance without processing it. Okay, what do you think? What do you think? You fucking wave a wand over it? Whoosh, whoosh, you are now a Beyond Whopper? Of course it's fucking processed.
hypothetically, there's some vegan food out there that is very, very nutritious. I'm actually cooking chili right now. It'll be done after this live stream. And I was putting the beans in. I was hungry. I had some beans.
Of course
They're
you
delicious.
put beans in it. Fucking
Beans
leaf.
are good for you. They're the magical fruit.
Beans are gross. Look, and this is a controversial statement I'm going to make here. If you put beans in chili, you're fucking wrong. All right? You know what goes in chili? Fucking meat, the sauce, obviously, and then real vegetables like peppers and onions. Not fucking beans. That's fucking poor people chili. That's fucking ghetto chili is what that is. Put real vegetables in there that actually have flavor and nutritional value. Not fucking beans. You fucking leaf.
Vegans aren't about processed food, over processed food. And so while this thing might have like the nutritional information listed on the side, all of the nutrients have been sapped
Vegans
right out
rise
of it.
up.
This stuff is absolute poison and absolute garbage. And you might say, what in God's name? What in God's holy name does the Beyond Meat burger have to do with Babylon? Well, look at our ancestors. Look at our Indo-European ancestors. Look at the Scythians. Look at the Germani. Look at the Celts. Look at the Romans. You know, look at the... We are descended from people who loved exploring, who loved wandering the steppes and the forests, who understood animals. We were one with our horses. And yes, and we raised cattle and goats, and we slaughtered them. We treated them well while they were alive, and then we gave them a decent death, and then we ate them. Our ancestors lived off of meat and legumes and fruits. Not the modern vegetarian. And again, we're doing vegetarianly loosely here. I understand that there's some vegans with very well adapted diets. I'm not trying to throw stones at you guys, okay? I think you should eat bacon, but I understand. You guys wouldn't eat the Beyond Meat burger.
He always does this.
But that's the
Indo-Europeans does this
Indo-Europeans
where he's like,
went
no,
in
I'm not
multiple
talking about you guys
directions.
that might get offended and give me shit. I'm talking about this complete straw man that I built up. Don't worry, you won't eat the Beyond. First of all, a lot of vegans probably would. Vegans are trash. But he does this all the time, where he's like, he's always subtly kissing the ass of someone he thinks might go after him.
They went east, they went south, they went west, they crossed oceans. But when they went south,
Yes. Okay. Real quick. Dashing Rogue sends $4.99. Says he is not drunk. He is high as a kite. That is apple juice. I am almost certain. All right.
they wound up in the Fertile Crescent, in the floodplains of the Fertile Crescent, and you get something similar happening down in Egypt. What'd they start doing there? They went from being foragers and ranchers to being farmers.
Yeah.
They started growing wheat. And most of the peasantry ate nothing but wheat. One of the things that you find is that I forget where I read this, but it wasn't until the 18th century that Europeans got back to the same place of health that we were thousands of years ago. When
You know, this crap about like thousands of years ago we were all healthy and it was this. There's this weird noble savage myth that's popped up on the, I don't know, alt-right, for lack of a better term. You know, I blame fucking Varg. But like this crap like, oh, we were just noble, our noble fucking European ancestors. You know, like, I think he goes on about the fucking Germanic people and how noble the Germanic barbarians were. Look, I say this as someone whose last name is fucking Bechtloff, okay? I trace my main line of lineage to Germany. The ancient Germanic tribes were about 3 ass hairs removed from baboons, okay? They were fucking animals. Thankfully, they got Christianized and civilized. But no, they weren't. This fuck this noble savage shit.
Look at the size of skeletons, right? If you look at how big people were, how well fed they were. Cavemen lived better than people in primitive agricultural societies.
Probably
the
not.
agricultural revolution poisoned man. All right, the
also,
food
you're
that we
fucking
started
drinking.
cultivating.
You're drinking whiskey while you're bitching about wheat. Well, you're pretending to drink whiskey. Doubtful that's actually fucking whiskey. It's probably a prop because you're a child trying to look like an adult. But you're drinking whiskey while you're running your mouth about fucking wheat. I don't know what the fuck exactly do they make. I know they make beer out of barley and wheat, that sort of shit. I'm pretty sure it's a similar thing with whiskey. I don't know exactly how they make whiskey. That's not something that I've needed to. I'm not planning on being on Jeopardy anytime soon. So that's not something I fucking needed to know. But I'm pretty sure you're drinking wheat there, asshole.
Most of it was absolutely terrible for us. And so you had very sickly people cultivating these lands. And now that we've achieved greater wealth than we've ever had, there's this push to return to that agricultural revolution diet. To get us eating grains again. Corn.
Yes, because the world is fucking overpopulated. Let's be real here. And this is something a lot of people on the right, I know Trad Davis over here wouldn't accept this fact, but the world is fucking overpopulated. Now, yeah, a lot of sections of the West aren't necessarily yet. The world as a whole is. And, oh, well, there's room for more of us. Sure, there's room for more of us, but we can't fucking feed all of us. We're already using factory farming techniques to try and supply the meat levels that we already have demand for. And that shit, aside from being extremely inhumane, more pragmatically, is very dangerous. All it'll take is one superbug running through that shit, and boom, the cattle are wiped out, or the chickens are wiped out, or the pigs are wiped out. Decimated overnight. There's too fucking many of us. All right? I don't necessarily have a solution for that problem. I don't know what to do about it. But it is a problem. And, you know, all you trads out there, they're like, everybody should have 12 kids. Yeah, that's a bad idea. That's why we're gonna all end up eating fucking Impossible Whoppers.
Syrup. Beyond meat and soy. In this era of absolute abundance, we're trying to starve the population.
No, actually, look, and I'm not one to defend the fucking elites.
Speaking of.
Okay? Because they are a bunch of pedophilic satanic assholes. But no, this is a particular case where they're planning ahead for what to do when we are all fucking starving so that we don't rise up and kill them. I know, rise up. That's their plan there. That's why they want to push this process shit on us first. Because they know what's coming. You know, already, if we all ate our fucking, you know, if everybody in this country, just the United States, prosperous ass United States, if everybody in the United States ate their daily recommended allowance of fucking vegetables and fruit each day, there would be vegetable shortages. So, you know, yeah, they'd much rather just feed us all corn syrup. But already, we're at the point where the world cannot be fed at a decent level. The world cannot. Yeah. Let's keep going. This is riveting content, Davis. Thank you. By the way,
So why?
before he gets back. Okay, I can't. I'm sorry. It gets dark when I pause it. But look at this fucking
Why
setup
would we be
he's got
trying
here.
to starve the population
Again,
when we
that's
are
not what
richer
they're
than
doing.
we've ever been before? We have a cash for clunkers program. For crying out loud, we were handing over money so people could buy new pieces of metal to fly down the freeway. And at the same time that we're throwing away money like that, we're trying to get people to eat poison. The reason, my suspicion, is because people that are living off of grains, people that are consuming lots of sugar, they're more docile and obedient and easier to control. They don't question authority. They don't have an intrinsic sense of right and wrong.
What is this question authority shit that he's brought up now? I thought this guy was all about hierarchy. I'm sorry, doesn't he lecture us evil Protestants on how we don't submit to the authority of the church? Isn't he always on about monarchy and hierarchy and all this other shit? And now he wants to be all about question authority? I'm just saying, little bit of a contradiction there, buddy.
Maybe it's something about being a meat eater. You know, because you are on the same moral level as the butcher.
Yes, Davis, I'm quite certain you're quite the meat eater. I bet you just devour tube steaks by the dozen.
There's a moral challenge in eating meat. There's an acceptance of the tragedy of life. It brings to the forefront the frailness of mortality and the necessities of justice that the grain eater never understands. Go back to Genesis.
Oh, God.
Go back to Cain and Abel. Abel sacrificed
I've heard this
meat,
before from him.
and God was pleased.
No, Forney actually did this.
And
dumb
Cain,
shit.
the murderer,
I think Forney was joking.
sacrificed grains.
You fucking asswipe. God, it's unreal. You know, Mr. Big Brain Theology over here. Because, you know, Forney sort of made this point, like, joking, sort of shitting on vegetarians. And then I guess Davis is ripping it off. But it's amazing. This man, Mr. Big Brain Theology over here, Mr. I've read Thomas Aquinas, which I fucking doubt. Press X to doubt. But he does not have the understanding of Christian, and to be frank, a lot of trad Catholics don't. But he does not have the understanding of Christianity that a fucking 3rd, 4th, or 5th grader would have gotten just sitting through Sunday school. And again, I don't even take fucking Genesis literally, but if you did, most people that do take Genesis literally don't think that humanity was eating a lot of meat at that point. It wasn't until after the flood that we required a lot of meat because things had degenerated further. And indeed, before the fall, no one was eating meat because there was no death. But here's the thing. Sin must be paid for with blood. That is a Christian tenet. So it requires a sacrifice. Now, it's God's grace that he'll allow you to place some innocent animal. There's no reason he should have to accept that and not you, because it's your blood that is really owed. And ultimately, Christ paid that. But there was a blood sacrifice what was demanded. That's what God said. Cain presented the bounty of his harvest, essentially his wealth, his works. Take note, Catholics, essentially his works, rather than the blood sacrifice. And God explained to him why that wasn't any good. It has nothing to do with being a veg. It has nothing to do with the fact that God prefers steak over salad. Okay, that's not what it is, Davis. You blithering retard.
The grain diet, the high fructose corn syrup diet, leaves you physically and morally callow, obedient, not brave, not courageous, not adventurous, but obedient.
Again, you're the one always about hierarchy
And this leads to the
submitting to
next
authority.
one, empire. Our Indo-European ancestors were renowned for their sense of justice, for their sense of fair play. One of the Romans commented that none of the Germanics, none of them had discovered interest on money.
Again, and I'm probably speaking about some ancestors of mine when I say this, it's not because they were so noble and pure. It's because they were 3 ass hairs removed from a baboon. It's because they were fucking animals running through the woods, damn near. All right? This is that same shit they use. That's a noble savage myth in general. Oh, they didn't understand property. They say that about the Indians a lot. Oh, they didn't understand property. Well, first of all, that's not really true. Second of all, if they didn't, well, too fucking bad for them. It's not my fault they didn't grasp a basic fucking concept. Nothing inherently wrong with interest, by the way. Interest in and of itself is not usury. Abusing interest is usury.
Money. They didn't want to own lots of things. They wanted to own good things. They were minimalists, and they weren't cheap.
They were minimalists, were they? And they weren't cheap.
And they also didn't form empires. Oh, they had war. Quite a bit of war, because war is absolutely wonderful. It is absolutely glorious. It is such a good feeling to bleed and make others bleed.
I mean, I already knew this, but if I didn't already, right there, I know you've never fucking seen action in the gay-ass Canadian Leaf military. Well, I mean, you probably saw some action in the barracks, but you've never seen combat. I mean, I knew that already, but if I didn't, I would definitely know that now. Men who've actually seen combat, they don't sit around jerking off about how awesome war is. Okay? They spend the rest of their lives frightened by fucking fireworks because of how terrible war is. You are a fucking child, Davis. You are a fucking child. Playing at being a man. No, war is not glorious. It's not awesome. It's not super badass and cool. It's actually the worst fucking thing humanity does. It's a terrible, terrible duty that occasionally young men are called to. They didn't have empire, but they had war. They didn't have empire because they were a bunch of backwards ass retard tribes that barely knew their ass from their elbow. Again, knock it off with the noble savage shit. I honestly thought we on the right were past that. That was some dumb shit the left did.
But they didn't do it for cruelty. They didn't do it to dominate. See, the sickness of empire started with Babylon. And it infected the Romans, which eventually led to Rome falling. And it certainly infected the United States. It's infected Great Britain. You know, the whole colonial era was nothing but this idiotic exercise in empire that's coming back to bite us in the ass. Empire always bites you in the ass. The same way that trying to have...
Of course, you've praised the British Empire.
Trying to have usury always impoverishes your society. But to have an empire, you need the obedient citizens. The Germani would never have gone along with empire. They say, what's in it for me, man? You know, like, war, I'm totally down for. That's fun.
It's
fun. What? I got my sheep. I've got my, slaves, which were indentured servants. They were well treated in most of the Indo-European time. It was different situation.
Okay, look. This is another thing he goes on about. Again, because he wants to romanticize the past. Yeah, a lot of people on the left in particular, they'll emphasize how horrible slavery was. But slavery wasn't a fucking good thing, okay? Hell, I don't think people even really thought it was that good of a thing back then. It was just something that, well, is necessary. I need somebody to fucking work the field, and, fuck him. He's not me. So, but no.
I mean, you think they're slaves? They probably had more days off than us free people have today. I mean, like I said,
yeah, but I also am allowed to own things and learn how to read.
my wife and kids. We got our land, we got our horses, we got our cattle. Why do I gotta go rule over somebody else? What's in it for me? Marble palaces, get out of here.
Yeah, you don't want to rule over someone else. You just said they had slaves. Your narrative is falling apart here, Davis.
Minimalist. You can't carry around a marble palace with you. The whole notion of empire really seemed to arise out of Babylon. So, that's two of them. Vegetarian diet with grains. Empire. Let's talk about the cult of the bull. The most in-depth description we have of the bull comes from the Roman wars with Carthage. And this was still when Rome was clean, before they were an empire. Back when they were a good old-fashioned city-state, the way that men were meant to live. And they went to war with Carthage for a variety of reasons, but also, partly, not to be ignored, is just the complete moral degradation of the Carthaginians. The Carthaginians would regularly, they'd have this big brass bull that they would heat up, and they would place their children onto the hands
hear the
of this
word bull without thinking of a Medicare cuck video where he's laughing at shit.
By the way, this is not mere Roman propaganda. This is we found the dead bodies. We found the murdered infants from Carthage. The Carthaginians. Now, who were the Carthaginians? They were a Semitic people. And the Semitic people, like the Germani, are the western branch of the Indo-Europeans. The Semitic are the southern branch. Because Babylon comes from the same place as our ancestors do. Out of the Indo-European valley.
This is all very fast.
Strangely, though, you don't find the swastika with the, not to my knowledge anyway, with the Semitic people. You find the swastika in India, you find the swastika all over Europe, but you do not find it with the Indian people, or with the Semitic people. Which, actually, that makes me really wonder if part of the reason that the swastika has been so demonized is because it's such an ancient and holy symbol.
No, I think the reason it got demonized was there was this
They try and pretend the Nazis stole it from the Hindus. It's like, no. But it was in Europe.
Yeah, the reason it got demonized is because
it's an Indo-European
this
symbol.
little
It's
event
ancient.
in the 40s. And it played a role in that, and it just
now of the
had
Semitic
a bad
people.
rap
Let's
ever
be
since.
perfectly clear. There were the Phoenicians. I'm not aware of anything about the Phoenicians murdering infants.
I just know they have great blinds.
They're the Hittites. Not aware of the Hittites murdering any infants. Seems to only be select groups of the Semitic people that were doing this. So as I said, the best record we have of the bull worship and the murder of children comes from the Romans in their wars with Carthage. The second best records we have of Semitic people murdering children
Really boring.
comes from the Jews. In fact, if you read the Old Testament, you read about Golgotha. We know where Golgotha is, and guess what? That is where Jews would leave the Jewish faith to go worship the bull god and sacrifice their children to it, to push them over the flames. And we found Golgotha, and there are plenty of remains of dead children there.
Ice clinking.
We have
noises.
Moses going up the mountain. He comes back down, and what are the
And here comes.
Jews
What are we
doing?
at? Like cigarette number
They
5
are
now?
worshiping the bull god
I
of
really,
the region.
I really got to set up
The
a
Semitic
counter
bull
one of
god.
these times. Yes, they all worship Tyrone the Bull. Is this
So you
actually
have
going
this
somewhere?
massive, like the Old Testament. When the Old Testament talks about the pagan gods, and not just that, there's who was the prophet that met an angel, and the angel was delayed because he was trying to get through Babylon, and whatever angel was watching over Babylon, presumably a fallen one, was preventing him from getting across.
I'm not sure if that's an actual thing in the Bible.
You have this constant conflict going on throughout the Old Testament of the Jews, of the prophets, of the kings, turning towards God, while everybody else in the region is going towards the bull god. Everybody else is going towards demon worship.
Okay, I think I know where we're going with this. This is about how Davis goes to God, but everyone who picks on him is going to demon worship. It's always he always wraps this back around, no matter what sort of weird bullshit he's talking about. He always swings it back around to sucking his own dick.
And the final thing, again, is money. It's money, and as soon as you invent money, you get usury.
Well, that's why you put restrictions on usury.
You know, have you ever wondered why the Jews are a little bit prone to being hysterical? Imagine being surrounded by people that offer riches and worship a vegetarian god that demands the sacrifice of children. And that might be why Jews are a little bit obsessed with their rituals and a little bit hysterical at times. Because that's the environment they came out of. And yeah, the final one's money. Babylon is where currency was really nailed down the first time. And with currency, you get usury. You get the manipulation of the monetary system. Let me check that chili again.
Riveting content with the which is the dead air in the bleakly lit fucking shitty trash department. Meanwhile, Dashing Rogue sends $4.99 and says, "This is Arini trying to get Hadrian's attention. It's a love letter
Space
to
Dog
her
wants
and a
an
Call Me
egg
Baby
on
stream."
her food, but I have no eggs. She loves a cracked egg on her food.
Why are we giving your dog so much fucking people food? Don't do
So yes,
that.
usury. Let me define usury for you guys again. So this term gets really bent out of proportion. It's not merely
I mean, an
interest.
egg's not bad for him, but raw eggs can. It's not the best idea.
It's not merely that, although I find interest pretty questionable as well. But, you know, futures markets are a thing, like it or not.
Somebody says, "Is that a nest in the background?" No, I was wondering that earlier myself too, but no. That would involve
Usury-
him actually having interests and being able to have fun and shit like that. No, that's not.
Well, first of all,
way
when
too
you
big.
engage in fractional reserve lending, which inevitably all banks wind up engaging that. Because that's why you open up a bank, is so that you can start loaning money at interest, money that you don't have. Because when you lend out money, you're not actually giving them a big sack of gold, okay? You're giving them some numbers on a piece of paper, and when they spend that money goes back to your bank, right? So you don't actually have to have the physical money to make loans, because any loan worth making is just going to be in numbers, and it's going to go back to your bank. So you only need a few $1,000s on hand, and you can lend a few million. And that's just what banking is, like it or not. Now, the issue with the system is that when you start doing that, when you start lending out money that doesn't exist and charging interest on it, you wind up creating more debt than you have magic Babylonian squares to pay it back.
Yeah, that's why you have to rein that shit in.
Traditionally, the way that we dealt with this was jubilees. Up until the past century, we were using bankruptcy law, understanding that there was a certain amount of debt that had to be wiped clean.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
But now we've managed to get into an era where we are making student loans to kids to get useless degrees that they can't pay back, and so we own them for the rest of their life. That right there is usury. Student loans are usury. And I am 100% for complete student loan forgiveness right now. You know what? I'm going to have all my student loans paid off by the end of the year. I am still going to be for student loan forgiveness.
Good God, you're almost 40. You still pay.
Because these loans were made under false pretenses for the sake of...
I'm not necessarily for student loan forgiveness, although I wouldn't really be opposed to it, because something needs done. I think just a better solution is just to make student loans absolvable through bankruptcy and make that go retroactive 20 years. So, I mean, there's still some punishment to it. Like, yeah, okay, you were talked into something stupid, but you let yourself get talked into something stupid. There's still some consequence to it. You're not getting off scot-free. But something's got to be done about it. And my laundry is done, so I believe I'm going to wrap up this stream, because that's all. I just wanted to kill some time for before my laundry got done. So, folks, if you enjoy this stream, do check out the sponsor, Steve's Jerky. Get you some delicious Steve's Jerky, because you don't want to be one of these fucking grain eating vegans or something. You got to carnivores rise up. You heard Davis. Get you some wonderful Steve's Jerky. Somebody says forgiveness would imply that the banks get paid. I would prefer a solution where the banks eat it for giving bad loans. Well, that bankruptcy would be that. When you file for bankruptcy, I mean, you can't. The person that you owe money to ain't gonna get shit. But yeah, get you some delicious Steve's Jerky, folks. And also, you can check out the PayPal, Patreon, and Amazon wish list. Those are all ways to support the show. And we'll be back tomorrow night. I guess technically later tonight, since it's 4 o'clock in the morning here on the East Coast. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow night, 8 p.m., usual time. So that's all we got for tonight, folks. I want to thank you all for listening. Bechtloff out.